So I wanted to do a video where we talk about coping mechanisms because usually there's like a bajillion like little listicles and we all look at them and we go, oh yeah, okay, that sounds nice. And then you know, and then we're struggling like with what's happening. And so I wanted to just kind of talk about like things that I found that legit actually work. So my main thing is music. So putting on something awesome, like a nice little banger. Honestly, it's me and the Alexa going all day. I thought I was gonna activate. um, and I'm actually really good friends with my DJ. Basically, I've been going to this. I tend to get I tend to make friends with the DJs because they'll play a song and then I want to know what it is, and then like I have a list, and then I just go through my list and I like play my faves and try and discover new music. So um, and I feel like this is something we all like intuitively know. I think that's a reason why, particularly in high school, we get really, all of us, really, really into music. Um, Suddenly we're dealing with hormones and we're feeling these intense feelings and like stuff's going on and like suddenly there's like a serious romantic dynamic to things and music is such a connection. To that period of time and to those emotional states. So when you're, you, me, anybody, when we're struggling hard for some reason, you know, putting on putting on the banger. If I ever want to kind of access like an emotional state, music is just such a good way to do it. So that's legit. Like that was literally the first third of quarantine for me. It was just me and like some music. I had never been alone in my life before, ever. And it's actually legitimately was something that I was terrified. I've never wanted to be alone. I've always wanted to be with, my loved ones, my people, my whoever. And if somebody had said to me, like, hey, so one day you're going to spend like 2 months by yourself and you're only going to see people, every other week, I would have been like, that sounds like if someone made the bad place for Inva, like that's what that would be. And so the fact that I was actually flourishing and doing really great, like a lot of that, you know, that was my Amazon Prime, Music Prime, whatever, with my Alexa. We were just throwing our own little parties. It was great. Um, and then the next thing, and it's so like this one is I really like I never think about it. Consciously, but breathing legit actually makes me feel better. Just taking a deep breath. And it's so dumb. Like you see it on the list and you're like, yeah, yeah, we all breathe. There's something about like like it like eases this, tightness in my chest. And it feels really good. I don't know why I don't walk around breathing all the time, but it's like, those really deep breaths. Oh, they feel so good. Um, so, music, breathing. The third one, honestly started with YouTube because what happened was I was watching Bob Ross. That's actually a habit I got into in college. Like I'd put on Bob Ross and then like most of the time I'd fall asleep and have like a nice little nap. It was amazing. And there's just something about, him and Mr. Rogers, something about their energy just feels so like grounding and lovely. Anyway, so I put on like the little Bob Ross video on YouTube and I fall asleep as per usual. And I wake up to some weird shit. It's like, what am I watching right now? And it turned out it was something called ASMR. And it was this girl and she was tapping on stuff and she was like quietly whispering and I just couldn't take my eyes away from the screen because I was trying to figure like what is this? What am I watching? Um I think it was the Water Whisperer. She's got this video and it looks like it was so like I'd never seen anything like it before in my life. It was this close up of the like I think it was carpet. I think it was the floor. And she was putting stuff on it and she's tapping things and then crinkling things. It was like this gorgeous fan and she'd run her like nail along it and it was I was mesmerized. And I was just like, what? Why am I watching this? But also, what is this? Um, and so I kind of got into watching like ASMR, and ASMR is really like, it's so interesting because like if you're into it, you're like, oh yeah, I love this, but like this is not really something that I can well articulate to anyone who's not into it. It just seems so bizarre and so strange. And then also, there's very like specific like nuances and people. Honestly, it's kind of like porn in that sense, you know, like you you know, it's really easy to make you go, no, I don't like this. This isn't not for me. So I got into watching ASMR and just like super calming. Apparently I like tapping, people tapping with nails on plastic. I'm about that life. I don't know why. In general though, I'm very sensory oriented. I mean, you can't, well, I'm not going to show you my apartment, but you know, there's like a lot of soft things to touch. I've got cards, you know, like decks of cards and they like to play with, you know, just different, you know, like magnet blocks and, you know, I definitely, I'm about that five sensory experience. Um, but I wouldn't just say ASMR. Like, who did I run into? Oh, it was this YouTuber called Silverhair, and I mentioned in another video. I grew up in a New Thought community where they did Reiki, and I just was always like, that seems like magic. That seems made up. Like, that doesn't seem real to me. You know, but people take it very seriously. And, you know, I don't know that it's not, you know, I don't know that it doesn't work. I don't know anything, you know. So I just sort of, you know, it went into to the woo bucket with the other woo things. But you know, this video came on and it was like, it was just something about like his aura and the way he was, you know, just, you know, lights and I was like, this is great. It was super meditative. I'm not a person who really sits well and thinks of nothing. And the thing about that is, again, grew up in a New Thought community, okay? Like that was the thing you have to train your brain to do because it's hard. It's not, you know, the reason people practice is because our thoughts are going all the time. We have, you know, intrusive thoughts and they like pop in and, you know, like just random crap and our brains are constantly going. So this idea that like people are going to sit down and just be like quiet in their brains, you know, like, I do know. So when I was in my youth group, like we would do, there was one meditation where we like looked into a flame of a candle. That was surprisingly difficult. Wow. I still remember that. Like my memory is not great, but I remember that because I was like, you know, your eye just kind of slides away from it. And you're like, wait a minute, all I have to do is look at a candle. Why is this hard? The ones that I really liked were basically we all just laid on the floor and we listened to music. And I was like, yep, I'm about this, you know. Um, but yeah, so it turns out like I'm able to kind of access that more meditative energy vibe. Watching like the certain videos, you just put it on and it's like, you know, take a breath. Um, so I really like that's nice. I really like that. Um, I also tend to really enjoy interacting with positive people, and feeling positive. You know, it just I do. Um, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that I'm an introvert necessarily. I do know that I need time to myself. I think what it is though is that I actually get highly stimulated by things. I went to Vegas once. Like it wasn't my idea. I went with somebody else, and it was one day of like the bright lights and the clanging and you know, the slot machines and the people and the bright colors and I just like after a day of that, I said to the people I was like, I'm really sorry, but I am going to be in my hotel room now. Like, I can't really do this. I'm so sorry. Like, and I spent the next 4 days in my hotel room, just hanging out and watching Law and Order and taking baths, and honestly, no regrets. Like, that was a baller trip for me. I do not mind. And then I'd go out with them for food, and then I'd go back in. And like thankfully, people were about it. But anyway, so I do know that like I can get overstimulated pretty easily. Like I've got about a 2 hour limit at Chuck E. Cheese before I want to murder somebody. Which is basically Kid Vegas, so that completely makes sense. Um, so yeah, I do really derive a lot of like, positive energy from interacting with positive people. So, honest, like figuring out who makes me feel heavy in myself, who feels like it sucks like the joy out of and I feel it here, and it's, I've started staying away from those people. I'm sad that it took to almost 40 to realize, like, yes, I have a compassionate heart, but man, dealing with critical, negative, judgmental people, it wears on your soul. At least it does on mine. I feel so much better, so much better now that I'm not around uh, those people. And actually, so I overlapped with one of those people at work the other day. And I was just immediately like, oh, I could feel it. I could feel it in my chest. The quarantine's been so nice because I've been able to self-select exactly who I want to interact with. And then so suddenly when I had to interact with somebody it's not my preference, I felt it. I felt it in my body. Um, so yeah, staying away from negative people, being more with the positive people. You know, because I know some people use a paradigm of like keeping your vibration high. If that works for you, great. If not, whatever. Like I don't know what's right. I just know what like has worked for me. And then also, if you're really, you're sensitive to sensory stuff, having like a kind of retreat place to be. Just me, like I've got my safe haven, got my home, I got my place to go. Uh, to me, home is where I can walk around not wearing any clothes if I don't want to. That to me, that means I'm home. Like, I can walk around in my bathing suit. Don't care. I have answered the door in my bathing suit. Like, I'm here. You knocked on my door. Like, I'm home. I didn't ask you to come over, so I wear what I want. Anyway, so there's that. I would say another thing for me, that breath again, is keeping my space like picked up. Sometimes it's nice to go, oh, I don't feel like dealing with it, and I get to make that choice, and then it feels equally great to be like, oh, I'm gonna spend an hour and just like whip this into shape. Now I'll tell you what. The stuff you deal with when you live by yourself versus when you are a parent with a child, like those are two different. Ooh boy. I'll tell you what, it was a lot of stuff I'm telling you right now is the luxury of getting time to yourself. Um, if you're a parent, you got to figure out how to make that happen because kids will not set limits on themselves. You will have to set limits with them. Like, you know, that's what they do. They want that attention, they want that engagement, they want that interaction. They will take as much as you can give, and you got to be the one to say like, okay, I've reached my limit. Let's do independent activities. Let's set a timer. I need you to like figure out an alternate activity for 30 minutes to an hour, whatever it is, however old they are. So you can you can do something that's grounding. Like what a big thing. Another thing, legit. Again, this is legit like lists on websites that we all ignore. We all have seen these lists. the bullet point Instagram post, whatever. But like the reason I'm doing this as a video is because it's so true, and it's like we gotta we gotta do this. So another one is being out in nature, being in the trees, feeling the wind, getting away from you know the city stuff or the cars or the electronics, or I mean obviously not like I'm still listening to music or whatever, or now I've started listening to like YouTube videos on my walks. Why not? I got time to kill. I go on 2-hour walks now. Like I'm a person from a Pride and Prejudice movie. You're like a character in a Jane Austen novel, taking my daily constitutional. Um, and I would also add for me being near water, feeling water, touching water. So like baths, wading in a creek, the ocean. If that is doable at all, like make that water happen. I don't know what it is. I wish mermaids were real. Like I'd be like, I'm totally a mermaid. I need water. Um, so that's a lot of kind of like the main stuff. It's all so simple, and yet we it's so easy to ignore, and then like you get away from it, and then we wonder why we're stressing the fuck out. just just trying to get through. Yeah, I mean, and like the biggest help for me was when I finally realized like, oh, you know what? I can get medication to help me emotionally regulate. Like I was having a conversation with this guy I went on a date with, and he was so excited about the supplement, and he's like, "Do you know what it does?" I'm like, "No, man, go on, tell me." And he said, he's like, no, but it like strengthens and I do not know if this is true or not. Like I'm just relaying the conversation. He's like, it strengthens the neurological connections in the section of the brain that deals with emotional regulation and something else. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I'm sorry, excuse me, what? Go on, because I'd watched my dad take medication, and it did not seem to make a difference. Granted, I was a kid, so maybe he would have been worse. I don't know. But like he was on medication and he still did stuff. So I just never took it seriously. And then Mr. like 5 dates, he was explaining it, and I was like, no, that actually like is that legit? Because I'll do that. So I got on like a medication, and that helped me. I mean, wow, like uh, it was what a freaking difference to not have to constantly emotionally regulate all the time. I emailed him. I was like, "Oh my God, is this how normal people feel?" I hadn't felt like that in so many years. And then I was trying to remember back. I was like, "Is this how I used to feel?" Like I don't even remember anymore. Maybe. Um, so I don't need to take it right now, but like that in conjunction with kind of like all the things, just brought me so much peace in my life. Also, randomly, I'll say the color of my light bulbs. Um, it like again, this is definitely not a thing for everybody, but I know like with the intense blue light, like got happening right now. So, uh, it it's a lot. It's a lot. So when I have more the yellow tones, it feels cozier to me. And I know some people are very much into like Edison bulbs, like, sure, yeah. But just getting away from like the bright, harsh lights, because it really does, at least for me. It's got to do that for other people, somebody somewhere. Anyway, so I just wanted to, oh yeah, oh, and the last thing, okay. So I got into like taking pictures, not like, ooh, I take pictures, but just, taking like a quick little snap of, something that makes me happy. Yeah, so then I go back through, like, occasionally I'll go back through my camera roll, and I'm like, ah, yeah, that was great, and also taking pictures of my face when I'm happy. I had never taken selfies before. I didn't even have a smartphone until about 2 years ago. In fact, it was because my boss gave me his old Apple iPhone 6. That was my first smartphone. And, thankfully, like, what a amazing guy. I love him. Anyway, so I finally had a smartphone that I could like take non-potato pictures with. And so going back through my pictures and going like, oh, look at my face. I look so happy. I was happy. Like being able to access that moment. And then you kind of see the pictures around it of like what I was doing. I find a lot of like that's that's like such a good touchstone for accessing like that positive state. Um, and then like not to be annoying, but like getting enough sleep. That's what you know, like it's just so much harder to do life when you're tired all the time. So anyway, basically it's every list we see online. It's every like BuzzFeed collection or Instagram post or somebody puts together like whatever. And it's like it's all so basic, but it's so true. So hopefully, like, just as a reminder, for all of us, like, if we're trying to, like, we're not in a great place emotionally or, in our energy, or we just had to deal with somebody, being able to, like, re-regulate, get back to, like, a good vibe, like, be vibing by yourself. So you can vibe great with other people. Like if you're a parent, be vibing with your kid. And then also if you can manage it, having somebody like the touch for me, I love like being touched, having someone touch me, being embraced. Like I know that's not everybody's jam, but I do know like mothers and babies, that's how we co-regulate babies is by touching them. And I know that for me, I'm so much happier, when I'm having like that sensory experience and that connecting, that living connectedness. So anyway, hope you all are having a great day and I'll talk to you soon.